We are live here for a Wednesday edition of The Slate. Welcome, everybody. Inside my living room, I'm Emerson Latzia, your host here for the next 30 minutes or so. Nick Fryer in the house, usually hit or miss on a Wednesday. Geoff Ulrich is here, as always. Love you, Fryer. You know that. TP on the ones and twos, producer Eamon behind the scenes, trying to keep us on the tracks. How are you, Geoff? How are your knees doing that your kids keep kicking?
Yeah, no, doing fantastic. We'll be doing even better today as long as I, pick them up in time. But no, doing great, man. Big weeks coming up. A little more golf tournament, little minor league before the major league next week, and then all this Lamar Jackson stuff. So fun week so far. And hey, look, I don't know if you saw last night, but the Oilers, Emerson, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you later, Vegas.
Yeah.
Nice knowing you.
Dude, listen. I've got a nice futures bet on our Oilers, buddy. Life is going to change for my family when the Oilers win and hoist Lord Stanley here in a few months, Geoff. And I'm coming up there and we are partying. We are ripping our clothes off. Do you guys have duck boats like we do here in Boston? Is there like a special type of vehicle that you celebrate on in Edmonton?
They're just, I don't know what they're called. Parade boats.
Okay, cool.
People have a lot of trucks here, so trucks will probably be involved. Yeah.
That's great. You and I naked in a truck bed together. I cannot effing wait, dude. I'm ready to rock.
Right.
Fryer, it's damn good to have you here today, man. And you were telling me earlier before we hopped on, because I want to start here with Lamar Jackson because he's been more active than usual on Twitter. I like the guy because I like how open and honest he is. Sometimes I think he may be a little too open, a little too honest, but he announced that he has requested a trade from the Ravens. That was earlier in the week. His latest tweet today, Fryer, slammed the narrative that he sat at the end of last season because of his contract and not because of his injury. Your thoughts in this latest development right now and where you think it could possibly end up?
Look, when it comes to Lamar Jackson, it's such a rare case because I look at what's happening with Jaylen Brown in the NBA right now, and it's a back and forth with him in Boston and how he's talking about his future with the organization and everything like that. He's a guy who's in a situation where it's like there's a little more negotiation that should be involved because as much as he is a star, he's not he's never going to be a number one guy, at least on a contending team. He's a great number two, but he's never going to be a number one. Lamar Jackson is a franchise altering player, and it plays the most important position in the most important sport. And obviously he's going to bring in jersey sales and everything there's a lot that comes with him both on the field and off the field in a good way. So he is in a position of power no matter what. What I can't get over in all of this, I think that it's a smart move by him talking about it, what I can't get over, though, is we get that rumor from Robert Kraft about Lamar Jackson, and apparently he wants to come to the Patriots. And then Eamon's telling us before the show, I missed this, that Burt Greer apparently got out that, Belichick's not interested in him. Yeah, I understand, fit and everything like that. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, this is a very talented player, and you are in a position now where, Kraft put you in a spot now where you have to go and win. You have to win a playoff game at least this next year. I don't feel all that confident in Mac Jones to necessarily do that. As much as I maybe go and do it with Zappy, it's still that's a huge drop off from Lamar Jackson. This is so banana land, backwards crazy thinking from Bill Belichick. I get it. You want to have a guy that you built, but at the same time, if you're talking about him versus Brady, I know that's a very much played out debate, but Tom went and played with a couple of really good receivers and brought back Rob Gronkowski and had a good defense behind him. It's not like he went and just did it all by himself. Yes, he made the difference. So if you go and bring in Lamar Jackson and do it with him, are people going to hold that against you? I don't think so. They'll just look at Mac Jones and say, yeah, Bill didn't really have much there. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, the possibility has come up a lot recently of him joining the Patriots, Geoff. So I think the idea would be to actually have Jackson, sign his franchise tender with Baltimore, facilitate a trade to the Patriots. Maybe Jones heads to the Ravens. Of course he will, with a ton of draft capital. Oh, baby, that could be juicy. Where do you want to see him go, Geoff? You mentioned the Colts, but is that where you want to see him? Because I do.
No, there's two teams that I'd love to see him go to. The first is Atlanta.
Dude, and I think they shot the
just
idea down too. And it's Geoff,
it's
that's
so
what's
dumb.
pissing me off. Too many of these teams
So-
who need him, who are a quarterback away from, especially in that
Yeah.
division, the NFC South, for crying out loud, you're a quarterback away from being the best team in there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I kind of see the argument with the Patriots. They are, as we talked about before the show, more built to be like a run-first team right now anyways. Obviously, Lamar is going to help them. I think he's a massive upgrade over Mac Jones. I think he's just a better fit for the offense. But I don't know how long, like the Patriots aren't really in a spot where I see them contending like right away. They're also in just a massively tough division, potentially the worst in terms of toughness in football. Atlanta is the complete opposite. They've been drafting highly the last 2-3 years, and they're in the weakest division in football. Maybe the weakest division we've seen over like the past 5-10 years. That's how bad the NFC South is right now. They have a path to get Lamar Jackson, put him with the ultimate weapon in Kyle Pitts in a run-first offense built by Arthur Smith, who loves to run the ball on the turf in Atlanta with a legitimate number one wide receiver in Drake London and Tyler Algier in the backfield to help out as well. Are already like a 3-down back there. You could even add a back if you wanted to. Atlanta should be like just falling over themselves to get this done. This makes so much sense with Atlanta. It's not even like I don't even have the words to describe. They could take this division by storm next year. You get to the playoffs, anything can happen. Give yourself you've got a real 3-year window here if you're Atlanta, and you got to take advantage of it. And the other team that's also in the NFC is the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Lions don't have as much. They don't have to do this, but I think they have a window too. And they are way further along than Atlanta. I mean, God, Lamar with the Lions would be really interesting too. So those are the two teams I think should be over this. I think those are the best landing spots for him. I think the Colts make the most sense though, in terms of like where he actually ends up.
But
Fryer,
sorry, Emerson.
no, go ahead.
I was with Lamar. I feel like that Lamar, like the Lions ruled Lamar out to the
They
Lions.
did. It's all of these teams. Like, why are teams coming out, Fryer, and shooting down the idea of Lamar Jackson joining their team right now? Like, why would teams be hesitant to add him to their program?
I can understand that from like a public perspective, like it, because if things don't work out, I mean, realistically, like the Ravens, as much as it's like a very like poor situation, how things have panned out between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, they are still in control of where they want to end up moving him. And if you're the teams that are competing, so let's say it's just the Falcons and just the Lions, maybe they want to try and be careful, at least from a public perspective, and control the narrative. So that way, if they're stuck with Goff to start the season, it's like, okay, well, we did okay with him last year, and maybe we can build on that. They don't want to go and just ruin things by letting that leak out. Like, we're all in on Lamar. We only want Lamar. That's the plan for the future. And I can understand that from the Patriots standpoint too. It's just, I mean, Kraft just kind of like laid down the line. Like he just like left Bill hanging out to dry. He has like now it's just now we know. Okay, Bill's one.
He doesn't want to be the bad guy. He doesn't want to be the bad guy.
It's good. And I understand your point, Geoff, of like the AFC East is now for some reason a tough division, which it's like it's been obviously with what the Dolphins did last year and everything. There's no denying it. And yes, the Jets have been going in the right direction. As much as I will never buy the Jets, even when they get Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, you don't just like you're just going to give up on the division. You're just going to like, hey, I can go get this guy and make us a contender within the division, which then should make us a contender against everybody else in some capacity too. And a guy who talk about run first. I know we're talking more about the running backs, but also a guy who knows how to use his legs a little bit.
The problem with the Patriots for me is that like they don't have the infrastructure that like say the Jets do. The Jets have just a ton of young players. And they've built it up by having a cheap contract at quarterback with like Darnold and then Zach Wilson. So I would like to see it. I would rather see the Patriots keep building with Mac Jones and build their infrastructure up rather than just if you get Lamar Jackson, it's just going to hamstring you in other ways. But your point is valid. I mean, too, there's two ways to build in the NFL, and that's with a rookie quarterback, cheap contract, and getting the star quarterback in place, and then just doing everything you can to try and build around him. If you do the second route, you have to be sure that you get the guy you want. Because if the guy you want isn't the guy you want, ask the Minnesota Vikings what happens. That's what happens. So,
I was reading a bunch of like blogs about possible destinations for Lamar Jackson. And one of them is like, is it possible that we could see a blockbuster swap of Lamar Jackson for Kirk Cousins? Huh?
I mean, he looks good in purple.
Come on.
The Vikings are definitely a team that like could be in on this. I mean, they would obviously have to unload Kirk Cousins, but I mean,
never mind. It would come with a $48.5 million dead cap hit for the Vikings by trading Cousins.
Yeah. I mean, they're like 50-1 in the odds for a reason, right? Like it's a lot.
Okay.
From a fit standpoint, though, for Lamar, I would love to see him in Detroit. I just wanted to throw that out there. Like Patriots standpoint, this is ridiculous, but I would love to see him in Detroit.
Okay, so dudes, one more as well, and this will kind of tee us up into a segue here into what's cooking in New York. But the Jets want Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers wants the Jets. However, until they come to terms on a trade, nobody is really going to get what they want. What about Lamar Jackson being an option for the Jets, Geoff?
I mean, look, it's the NFL. Like, never say never. I mean, anything can happen, obviously. And I mean, I know that all these teams have come out and said it, but like, don't be shocked if some of these teams end up backtracking at some point.
Yes.
I don't really know why some of them decided to come out and say it. I mean, it's a dumb strategy in my opinion. Like, no matter what you're doing in life, the less information in any kind of negotiation you can give, the better. I mean, you just sit there. I mean, it's like revealing your poker hand in the middle of a hand or something. So, that could happen. But, in terms of the Jets, I mean, I guess if this Aaron Rodgers thing went south somehow, like if the Packers just stonewalled them and said, we're not, this is our asking price. And the Jets are just like, well, maybe we should just see what the price for Lamar is first. It could happen. I wouldn't anticipate it though. The Jets have kind of also just made their bed here. I mean, they've signed Lazard. They've made moves. Their whole off season so far. It's not summer yet. I wish it was. But their whole off season is built around Aaron Rodgers right now. And if they go back on that, it's going to be kind of weird because they've already got Lazard in. They've already made these other moves. So I think the Jets are pretty pot committed, but certainly don't rule it out. The longer the Aaron Rodgers things drags on, the more likely it becomes. Absolutely. And again, as much as I don't understand the team saying, "Oh, I'm out on Lamar," I don't understand what the Jets are doing.
I know, dude.
Like I do not understand how you build around Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers is not on your actual team. So it's
Geoff,
very weird, but I would assume that this eventually gets done.
You're spot on. They're reportedly not focused on a plan B at quarterback. But if Rodgers is still a Packer when the NFL draft starts, the Jets will need to start considering other options here, man.
Yes. Well, Geoff made an evergreen statement that always applies to the Jets. I have no idea what the heck is going on with this team. And this is why, like, even when you go and if you get Rodgers, if everything comes to fruition that they had been planning, I don't trust that it's going to work out just because the Jets always find a way to make it not work in the way that they planned. Would it be interesting to see if they tried to scramble and get Lamar? Honestly, I wanted to see Rodgers there because I was like, oh, maybe this won't work out as well as they hoped. That's what I'm expecting. But now if they don't get him or they don't get Lamar and then they're stuck with what they already had, I would just love to see what that mess looks like going into the next season, because then now we're talking about, a team that's kind of going in the right direction. Now I would think they would just be taking 15 steps back if they don't get a different quarterback for next season.
All right, guys. What do we have? About 12 minutes until Geoff has to leave. Geoff has a hard
how the
out.
Heck is he getting all the love at the start of the show, and I'm the one that's getting criticized for being half in, half out?
There was a small little jab, dude. Come on, we're not all great friends all the time. Come on now, Ulrich. We got 1 week, dude. What do we have? 4 more sleep. Was Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. So Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday. So we have 5 more sleeps until Masters week. I'm very excited about it. It is the best week of the year, in my opinion. Can I ask you your opinion really quick? Did you see Gary Player's rankings of the 4 majors, and he has the Masters last? He goes the Open first, US Open second. He does the PGA third, and then he ranked the Masters fourth. Like I'll have what he's having.
Gary Player is a professional troll. He is very good at it too. If you follow
He's
for an
about to hit
old
the
guy,
honorary tee shot there next week, dude. And I'm just like, all right, part of this is because your son was banned. Like,
yeah, for sure, absolutely. He's probably got some stake in live or something. Who knows? Anyways, like, yeah, I didn't actually see that, but it's like as soon as he said Gary Player, I'm not shocked that that's what he did. Look, I think the Open Championships are really good too, and I kind of almost prefer them. I mean, they're harder to win. The fields there are way stronger. But the Masters is the Masters. It's just, it's a completely unique tournament.
Yeah. What is it, 90 guys, right? I think typically is sort of around what the Masters
between 85
has in the field.
and 90, usually 85, 95. Maybe a couple of years has gone to 100. I can't remember, but limited field, there's the old champions in it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like what it boils down to. It's basically like a 70-man, like one of those old WGC events, just got a cut in it. And, you've got to go and beat the elite. It's still really hard to win. It's on a completely unique golf course that they always have immaculately set up. And it's just, the atmosphere, and for TV, it's unmatched. It really is. So to me, it's still, if you're looking at it from a purist standpoint, like what's the hardest tournament to win? What's the best major? Yeah, US Open or Open. I actually agree with that. From a viewers and a fan standpoint, no, the Masters.
Yeah. And clearly we're going to have a different opinion on it as being dudes sit on the couch, hammering away on bets on a Sunday afternoon compared to guys in contention at like these tournaments. I was just like immediately off the top of my head, I said, okay, the Open, if it's at St. Andrews, I could potentially put in front of the Masters, but otherwise I'm going Masters. I'm going US Open. I'll go the Open after that. Again, this could change depending on location of where the Open is, but we can all agree PGA is 4 out of 4. That is the one thing we should all agree on.
Yeah, that's undebatable.
That was a ridiculous take.
Yeah.
What's a ridiculous take? Which one?
No, what he said about
player?
Player, putting the PGA Tour ahead of the Masters. Like, you could have gotten away with something there, but it just seems a little bit too funny. But for whatever it's worth, I'm with you guys on the Masters, but I think the Open is definitely like a clear number 2. I think they're on their own tier, and then the US Open.
Okay. Fair enough. To each their own. And this week, Geoff, is going to be a lot of guys' last opportunity to punch a ticket to the Masters. I think the biggest story there, we all know the biggest storyline. This is going to be Ricky Fowler. Damn, John Rahm couldn't beat Billy Ho last week. And with Billy Ho knocking up John Rahm in the match play, that avoided, then what the hell am I trying to say? I guess Ricky wasn't able to crack the top 15 world, which is why he's not in the Masters. Why now he has to win this week in order to get in. So where does he sit currently? Plus 1,800. People are going to be hot on him. Where are you going to be placing money on the DK Sportsbook this week, dude, for the Valero Texas Open?
Yeah, no, for sure. I really like Davis Riley this week. He's 2,500. I think he opened at 2,800 on DraftKings, but Riley is just a very, very just good young talent. He can kind of just do everything well. This is a tougher golf course too. Like it requires a skill set. You can't just come in here and wedge and putt your way around. You've got to be decent off the tee. You've got to be good with your long irons. Riley can do all of that. He's played well in tougher courses before. Valspar, Colonial. He almost won in Texas last year. I like him. That's my guy this week at the top. I understand why people may give Ricky a run here. I hope Ricky gets it done. I certainly won't begrudge him. He's only 18 to 1 though, plus 1,800. Just not big enough for me. I'd much rather take a shot with Riley there. And going down the board, there's a couple other names I'll throw quickly. Aaron Raya plus 5,500. I think looks like a really good bet this week. Really solid iron player too. He can do all those things. He's consistent off the tee. He's not super long, but he's got a good all-around game for a tougher course. This is the kind of setup. Aaron Raya, if he ever wins on the PGA Tour, will probably become between like 12, 15 under par, which is what we typically see here. Nick Hardy at plus 7,000, like that as well. Both those guys too have early tee times, which right now, if I was to guess, I think that there's going to be an advantage for the early Thursday, late Friday wave. Now that can change. It's Texas, but early Thursday should have less wind. Friday, actually, it looks like it may be windier in the morning. So Those are three guys in Riley, Hardy, and Aaron Rye, all teeing off early Thursday. I like their draw, and I like the setup for these guys too.
Okay. Fryer. This is our weekly hashtag Fade Fryer segment. Although, again, I give you credit. Some of your plays have been solid.
Some.
What do you have for the Valero Texas Open for our audience watching right now?
Thank you. Some, Geoff? When was the last time you actually said, no, I'm going to fade him on this play? When was the last time that happened? Anyways, so I do have one guy who's actually right near Davis Riley at plus 2,800 to win it, and that's Chris Kirk. Obviously coming up with a 3-week layoff that he's coming off right now. But he's had 3 top 10 finishes at this course in his last 7 trips, 6th in the field in was it strokes gained tee to green per round at this course. And some of these numbers I actually did get from Geoff's breakdown. I believe you had him in your horses for the courses on PGA cheat sheet. Again, the best article that you guys are going to find over on DK Nation is Geoff's PGA cheat sheet for golf stuff. And what I know, he's only 26th in strokes gained on approach this season. Not ideal, but still, it puts. I think that puts him within striking distance. If I'm looking for the higher end guys. If I go a little bit further down the board, another guy who's at 7,000 is Byung-Hun An, and he's 4th in strokes gained on approach this season. I like him for top 22. He's at plus 300 there as well. Only 49th in strokes gained tee to green, but that's more because of his driver right. So I mean, but Geoff, as you've highlighted already, you don't necessarily need to have the long game to necessarily succeed at this course. So those are the 2 guys that I'm going with, especially with On too, for top 20 play. He's finished top 24 in 1/4 of the tournaments he's played in this season.
What do you think, Geoff?
I mean, I don't know if Nick's doing this on purpose, but Chris Kirk, we grabbed the win with Chris Kirk at the Honda, so I can't really say anything bad about him. Does have good course history. He's regressed a little bit since then, but
past 2 events have not been great by him. But
again, obviously, I would prefer to bet Davis Riley down there over Chris Kirk, but a lot of people I know like Chris Kirk this week. I completely understand it. I don't think he's a poor bet. I don't know why you picked Byung-Hun An, but I've probably bet Byung-Hun An more than almost anyone on earth over the last 5 years. I just like him. He's funny. He's got a good game. He was a real top amateur when he came out. He's talented. I don't necessarily know if this week. I think it's a good call to mention the top 20 because it's probably a better spot for him. His driver is just a little bit wonky. And I think it could actually hurt him this week. You do have to be consistent off the tee. You don't have to be long or anything, but you got to keep it out of trouble. But Benny An has come close to winning a couple times, so I don't hate that call at all. I think he's a good top 20 bet too. Maybe even a first round leader look for tomorrow. He's another guy who starts early.
Okay. Well, Geoff Ulrich, unless you want to throw out a hockey player or something, you don't have to. You can take off because I know you got some stuff to do.
Yeah, I'm just gonna head. I'll leave the hockey to.
Get out of here.
You guys with baseball and whatever NBA stuff Nick has drummed up.
Do you guys have any kind of minor league team or a local team?
We used to have a AAA team here, the Edmonton Trappers. Okay. Look it up.
Oh, sweet.
But that I don't know why they left. It was actually kind of cool. Okay. It was fun to go to the games. But
yeah, man, good for you, dude. Because you can only go outside and enjoy summer, 1 month out of the year.
It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, are you on the
see
sweat
you guys
tomorrow?
Next week.
Yeah, in the sweat tomorrow. All right, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, Fryer, we are going to talk some baseball because opening day is tomorrow. I believe it's the first time in a bajillion years all 30 teams are going to be in action on the same day. Obviously, Mother Nature cooperates, but there's a brand new schedule this year. We got every team's going to play every other team at least once for the first time in history. It's also year 2 of the new 12-team postseason format. There's several rule changes now. The pitch clock, I cannot wait. I'm a little bit more of a baseball fan, Fryer, than the casual. I'm not crazy hardcore. I enjoy talking it, but I have never been this dialed in to spring training ever before because the pitch clock has my interest peaked right now. Dude, games were 2:20, 2:25. That is phenomenal. That means when the Red Sox start at 7:05, I'm out of there walking home before 9:30 possibly. How excellent is that, dude?
Yeah, unless it's the Yankee series because we don't know how
those are 4-hour games locked. Those are the lock of the century.
Yeah, but honestly, so when the whole pitch clock stuff kind of came into the mix, this has all been an interesting experience for me because when I was in college, we were told that was going to start getting mixed in and dabbled in. We actually had to practice, like our coaches would practice having us on a stopwatch so that we were getting used to. I forget what the time frame was, but I don't think it was as tight as it is for Major League Baseball now. But getting used to that now for me wasn't a big deal. I kind of like to work quickly so that way it keeps guys like, it doesn't let them get comfortable and my fielders are moving. But there were some guys who would definitely mess with. Now we're seeing this, and it's funny how it's kind of messing with hitters in some capacity too, where they can't get out of the box. But I always thought, okay, this is going to help with the tempo of the game, but how many minutes is this going to actually shave off a game? And now what we're seeing in spring training, and those games can be as miserable as anything you see the entire year. It's why a lot of people don't want to necessarily watch them. I mean, it's mind blowing how quick some of this stuff has moved. So I'm very excited moving forward. I mean, especially this could be one of the best things that baseball has ever done, and they're not known obviously for being very forward thinking.
Yeah, true. I mean, the time of games are going to drop. I think we're going to see more stolen bases because of some of the like little rules that are in there. 5 minutes to go. You said you had close to like a handful of plays here for opening day. So right now, what is the play that you are most confident in for tomorrow, for Thursday?
So, okay. I think if I have to go with just one, I think I'm going to go with the one underdog that I like tomorrow. So, so the Red Sox are favorites tomorrow. I like them. The Rangers are favorites tomorrow. I like them as well at pretty good prices too. But the Diamondbacks are plus 150 going up against the Dodgers. And to me, like, look, whenever we're looking at underdogs, we need to try and consider things like the pitching matchup, of course. And the big thing here is Zach Gallen going up against Julio Urias. And yeah, I understand that Gallen has not had a good spring. That is obviously not ideal. You go and look at his numbers, and it's pretty shocking considering what he did last year. And then you look at his numbers in the spring last year, and he dealt. So, okay, why should we necessarily trust him going into this year? If you look at a little bit of what he was talking about going into spring training, he was kind of trying to take things a little bit more casually, trying to get ready for the season instead of worrying about making the team, getting like a certain spot in the rotation, things like that. He was trying to make sure that he gets himself ready for what he wants to do and for the long haul. So his approach was a little bit different. I can understand a little bit of apprehension about him just going into the year in general, but knowing that's what veterans do. So to hear him doing that makes me not take really much at all, or if any stock in his preseason numbers. And look, when we're looking at the first few games of the season, you have to take those into account. Eventually, I'll throw those out the window. But right now, I have to worry about that a little bit. And with Julio Urias, that's a guy who obviously very good pitcher, but I'm usually trying to see if there are spots that I can fade him just because there's something about him for me that I don't love. And he did have a rough outing in his last spring training outing. Now you got him going up against a young, hungry Arizona lineup that, hey, like we've talked about how like they could be on the rise. And they were a little bit last year. You're in a division where like you're constantly overlooked because the Giants for over the past few years. Then you have obviously the Dodgers, and now the Padres have been a horse in that division as well. This is a chance for them to make a statement early. So like this is a spot right here at plus 150. Want to roll the dice on them.
Yeah, they won 74 games last season. Talking about the Diamondbacks here, obviously not the Dodgers. What was that, like $110, $111? But even Steve this morning on our opening day special of the Sweat was really high on the Diamondbacks, over 75.5 wins this year because of really them improving their roster, like from top to bottom. They got rookie of the year Kyle Lewis there, Evan Longoria is there to bolster the lineup. You take that with a grain of salt. But then you got a late inning option. Also in the bullpen, tons of other like options there as well. So could be a team, as you've mentioned, on the rise. What else you got for tomorrow?
Yeah, I will say like that is a good futures bet too. And the one that I've been trying to harp on with people for futures is I know we're in Boston and it's very easy for a few of us to start talking Boston stuff. And we've seen a lot of people talk about the Red Sox win total, and it did get bumped up to, I believe, 78.5 games. Julian Edlow wrote it up for DK Nation for futures plays for this season. But one that I really liked a lot, I'm assuming it's still up. I haven't checked it out. I'm already all set on it, but the Red Sox win total versus the Cubs win total. If the Cubs are still at 77.5, then there will probably be a little bit of a spread on that. That's what's been happening on these play for play, these win for win bets. but I really like the Red Sox here. I think it gives you a little bit more wiggle room. I do think that they're likely to go over their win total, but I'd rather have that cushion because I think the Cubs, much like the AL Central, those are the two weakest divisions, the NL Central and the AL Central. So now they're going to have to face the NL East a lot more and the NL West a lot more. That's going to put them in a tougher spot. Whereas the Red Sox, yeah, I don't expect them to make the postseason, but their strength of schedule should be a little bit easier than it has been in years past. As for plays for tomorrow, real quick on the Red Sox, Corey Kluber on the bump tomorrow. I do like him in this spot going up against Kyle Gibson. I know they were both solid throughout the spring, but we saw Kluber face a little bit tougher competition. He had to go against the Rays. I know his last outing or second last outing, he didn't do well against them, but that was back-to-back outings against them. You usually don't like a pitcher in that spot. And then Kyle Gibson, who can get really hot and do really well. I do think guys have been talking about like the Orioles, like first team to 10 wins. That is a reasonable play to start the year. But with Gibson, he got roughed up by the Yankees. He got smacked around. I think that was his last outing. And outside of that, Emerson, he faced the Pirates and the Tigers. So I know the Red Sox hate the Yankees, but the Red Sox are not the Tigers or the Pirates right now.
That's kind of why, like, in terms of just DFS really quick, I like Tristan Casas as a value play tomorrow on DraftKings, $2,900. Been crushing this spring. Should be in the heart of Boston's lineup. And yes, he gets to face Kyle Gibson on opening day. And Kyle Gibson, by the way, friend of DraftKings, had him on multiple times.
Yeah.
As a member of the Phillies. Really, really nice dude. Just hot and cold when it comes to his performance on the mound.
I like Gibson, and he's a pitcher too. Some of these guys have the benefit of throwing gas. By the way, Cassis, I don't see it on DK Sportsbook right now, Emerson. But on that note, check out his total basis props, everybody, tomorrow, because if it's at 1.5, which is what the standard pretty much is, that might be a worthwhile play.
There you go. Bingo, dude. Great show today. Good stuff. Great work, Geoff. TP, appreciate you. Eamon, thank you so much. Next game for Madden, everybody. We got the Colts at Dallas coming up, and we're back on your screen live for a Thirsty Thursday edition of The Sweat tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time, and all the DraftKings social channels. We will see you then.